Trying to make my mind up. Should I rock or should I live my time up to the fullest? History I write up in the morning, freestyling before I light up while I'm rolling. I wanna be somebody, but it's taking away my time. I'll be working from the morning to the night, baby, that's my life.
See, I love all of this. On hip-hop, Daemon focuses. I'm flowing, rolling, controlling this. That I find I send my condolences. Pop hits, but I don't own a clip. All my words talking ownership. Success prone to it, rogue a bit. I just make a scene, but I'm woken in. Let loose in my brain, and I get vibes in my veins, and I fetch words from the plane. The universe is strange. Seeing time fade as I medicate, levitate. I gon' make frequencies outrage.
Trying to make my mind up. Should I rock or should I live my time up to the fullest? History I write up in the morning, freestyling before I light up while I'm rolling. I wanna be somebody, but it's taking away my time. I'll be working from the morning to the night, baby, that's my life.
Never let the man control your feelings. Promote real love, the people gon' make a killing. Good vibes with our heads bobbing like we're dealing. Shouts out to all the souls who be in a prison, locked behind bars or the mentally enslaved. Hard work slowly makes the pain erase. Crazy ways secretly starts the spark for superstars. Works of us. Look, I'm
Standing astounded, everything's bringing me down. Energy's up in the clouds. I pull my reflectors out. The realest around. Rock with the team on the sound. Future is made in the now. Smoking and speaking out loud. Trying to make my mind up. Should I rock or should I live my time up to the fullest? History I write up in the morning, freestyling before I light up while I'm rolling. I wanna be somebody, but it's taking away my time. I'll be working from the morning to the night, baby, that's my life. I'm daydreaming, no. The whole squad have the same feeling, I'm daydreaming, no way. I'm daydreaming, no. Whole squad have the same feeling, I'm daydreaming, no way.
My name is Plat, also known as the artist Daemon P. I perform music and I also write scripts. I suppose I need to speak about where I came from. I come from Birmingham. Specifically, I was brought up in the area of Stetchford. And I suppose I first got into music because my father and mother were into bands and different types of music. My dad was a drummer and he's always earned a good living from doing drums from like the age of 14 years old. And he was blind as well, so he's always just been proof that even without eyes, you can be successful as long as you've got hard work. My mother, she's a nurse now, but she always had the voice of an angel, singing to like Phil Collins and all the 80s kind of vibes and that kind of thing. And yeah, I suppose I got into hip-hop music when I suppose it was quite late, really, because like I was never exposed to that while I was young. But there was one day, it sounds like something out of a movie, to be fair, like how I first heard the first rap song. Like it was my dad told me to put the bin bags out, so I'm at the bottom of my garden now just putting my bin bag out, and then like I had one of those old Coca-Cola bottles what stand about 2 meters tall off the ground, where you put like your 1s and 2p's in and that kind of thing. And like where I put my bin bag, I saw like it must have been from my next door neighbour, one of their bags came open and there was like loads of pennies on the floor. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to fill my box up. And as I was picking up these pennies to put in my box, a tape fell out, like a cassette tape, like, and I just was like, okay, let's just randomly see what's on it. And it was actually, what was it now? Role Model by Eminem. And that was like, I think it was the Slim Shady LP. And then I just rewound it back to the start. Both sides had like the whole album on, and it just blew my mind that rhymes could be that powerful, because I'd never heard it, like, apart from hearing it like through voices and singing and that kind of thing, I'd never really heard it like that. And I suppose after 8 Mile, that got me thinking, maybe I could write my own. So I think it was about, I think it was around the time of the Eminem show, whenever that came out, I started to try and write my own like little raps. And like, I suppose at that time I did have an American twang to my voice because I was so influenced. And I think after like doing it for so long now, I think like you always come into your own style, and like I like to think that I've shook that off now, but I suppose you all have to start somewhere and learn. But yeah, that's basically how I got into music. And yeah, like I say, I was from Birmingham, and I just plan to do me and give back.
Hip hop's a culture turned to a business, just full of vultures who wanna witness sales at Christmas. We pray for forgiveness to a higher power who shoots through a hit list.
Well, since I first started, I have actually got all the songs on like an old hard drive. I'd say a good 3,000, 4,000 songs, easy, without a doubt. Like I think the longest time I've stopped writing since it was about like 12, 13 was probably 2 weeks. Ever since then, I've just like, it's more therapeutic to me because it's like a puzzle, and I can't go to bed with like, if I go to bed and I'm like halfway through the second verse of a song and I know I've got the rest, like even while I was in school, it would be playing on my head all day because like I'd be thinking, God, as soon as I get home, I've got to finish it. It's like some need of just having to finish it, and that's just something that's always stuck with me. But I'd rather it be like at that time of my youth, like all my friends was going out and getting into all knives and all that kind of stuff, and that kind of kept me from the streets and just kept me with ambitious people, because it seemed at that time like the only person who I knew who was making music is still to this day one of my closest friends. It's just good to be surrounded with ambitious people, you know, with like a vision rather than just people who waste the gift of life, I suppose.
Dreams. I speak to you sometimes on my knees.
Yeah, well, before I was into rap music and hip hop, Michael Jackson was my god. I loved that dude. Like my brother introduced me to him when I was young with the Earth song, I believe it was. This is like, you know, I know you brought up with music, but I mean like when you actually started to listen to music, it was like the Earth song. And like when I watched the music video and just saw that Michael created a piece of music what was just about helping the world, making it a better place and that kind of thing, I just think that that was something at the time in the charts that was lacking, because the majority of things in the charts was just obviously aimed at promoting sex and the obvious stuff that we know kills minds of people. You know, people need to be like, even to this day, it's a well-known thing that like prosperity is a thing that needs to be promoted, and that's the thing that's not being, which is like I hope in 10 years time, you know, more woke people will be owning the industries and not people who just want to make money on things that they shouldn't even be making money on. They've just took cultures and made businesses out of cultures, and I think that that's crazy. You know, the older I got, when like I started to actually understand where hip hop come from and that, I've just realised that the people who like are owning these businesses and that, they've got nothing to do with the actual, you know what I mean, where hip hop actually comes from. They just have no idea anything about it. They just know how to monetize it and to make money out of it and to take little slices out of other people's creativity. But yeah, sorry, I was digressing completely there. Like, yeah, but my biggest influence is like that's what drew me to Michael Jackson. Like, and then from there, I suppose Michael Jackson and Eminem and James Brown. I love the funk. The first time, I think it was in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I saw Uncle Phil jamming to some James Brown at one point, and I was like, who is that? And then like when I found out I listened to one of the albums, and it was just timeless music. When I found out it was around the 60s and I was like in the thousands at the time, like dancing to it, I just wanted to one day have a piece of music that is that powerful. So that was my biggest influences, I suppose. Michael Jackson, James Brown, then the god himself, Eminem.
Crawl before you walk, smiling now the ball is in my court. Music getting played door to door. Man, I
find it, what's the right word, disingenuous to write about anything that you don't believe in. I hate sitting down and someone say, oh, let's do a song about this. If I haven't experienced what I'm writing the song about, I see it completely pointless. And I know, like, from watching interviews with certain artists, that like the industry sometimes take the creative control away from the artist. And I think that's the biggest issue. People should just do themselves. I mean, like, it don't matter what you are. Like, I know there's some people out there who are in the industry and like everybody knows the guy, but they're not coming out and being real. And I think that that's wrong, because if you're gay, you should just come out and bust up and tell people, just be real, be you. And like, I think that's the biggest problem now. People want to hide behind a persona, sit there with the chains hanging around the neck going, I'm bad, I'm selling. Like, it does my head in. Like, people don't go home and talk to the missus and the children like that. They'll just talk real. And I think that's what, like, you know, there is other artists out there who are doing it slowly, like obviously J. Cole and that kind of thing. But I know, like, he's signed to a big label, but I just think, like, when people who are spun on the radio all the time, when they're talking realness, I think that's when humanity are going to be pushed forward. I think, like, that's when we will finally start evolving. Because as far as I know up to now, since apparently, if so-called evolution is true, since we've evolved and formed from apes and monkeys and that kind of thing, it's like we've just stuck. We've not really done anything other than technology. We haven't progressed as people. We're still fighting each other over pathetic things like race and what people get up to. And it's really just crazy. We should just understand, long story short, that we're all human and we've just got to get along and move on. But it's just really hard to get people thinking on that same wavelength. I'm not sure if people agree, but that's just how I feel.
Rule like papers, rule like papers.
Let me roll.
I talk like haters, talk like haters.
I think they'll just see a complete reflection of me, because everything is a thought of how I felt at that time. Like, I mean, the music that's going to be coming out soon, it's more of the, like, I'm singing in it, and it's more talking about, like, certain times, like, when you're feeling love, like, when you just want to make a love song and that, like, there were certain times when I was making rap that I thought, God, I could never make a love song because that'll just be too cheesy. But I don't know why I'm thinking that would be too cheesy, because I feel like making a love song. And like, it wasn't until I got with the producer, Michael, who like has been working with me, I'd say, the last 4 years. He just like, it is like, you know, he's like an OG to me. You know what I mean? Like, and he's just completely said, like, stop worrying what other people are thinking and do you. And he was like, you can sing, so just try it. And ever since, he gave me that confidence, I suppose, just to believe that I don't need to keep on looking for singers. And with, like anything, with a little bit of hard work. I'm not saying I'm the best singer in the world by no shot, but I just think it's a good way of expressing yourself. You know what I mean? But like I say, if people listen to the music, they're definitely just going to get like a reflection of everything that I'm thinking, whether it be happy, whether it be sad, but it's just going to be complete realness. And the main thing that I'm promoting is prosperity, because I don't see the point in living life. If I went home today and quit music and stopped being creative, what would be the point in my existence? Because I think you should use your art and whatever you love to do to make the next generation that little bit better. But it just seems nowadays that people are making kids just be distracted and allowing them to go home and binge video games because it shuts them up. And I think that that's wrong. People should be guiding the kids to go on walks, understanding meditation, understanding different things in life. But that's what I hope to live in one day. Anyway, look, I don't know if I'm called digressing from the question, because you know what I'm saying.
Competition said it with the ducks, cause fun to be alone when I'm on the road. Pressure lay your own till I'm in the zone, banging it alone. Look at how I roll, spit it at the moan, gonna tell it fall till I'm in the morgue name.
Okay, well, taking it back, let me go back to reception. I was part of a school called Gussie Lane in the area right by where I was brought up, like, yeah, near, not too far from Stetchford. And while I was in there, the thing that I loved about, this is before I even started writing music, we'd be in assembly and they'd always sing hymns in assembly. Like, you know, like, hey, Hosanna, hey, Hosanna, and you'll have to, like, clap your hands and that kind of thing. And it was just great how, like, a whole crowd that even I was sitting in, like, I noticed that when we hit specific, I suppose I'd say specific frequencies, but when, like, everybody was matching that same tone on the song, it would make, like, your goose pimples and your hair stand on end, because it just felt great to be a part of that. And then, like, I suppose they started doing talent shows and, like, end of the year performances, like, little things like that in school. And I'd always wonder, I think the earliest the earliest performance I can remember doing was, I know in year 6 I'd done Michael Jackson, but I think in year 3 I did a cheesy song from an episode, like, you probably, I don't know if you'll know, it's like an old Irish episode called Father Ted. And they had a song on it from years ago, like, where there was on, like, the doing My Lovely Horse, and for a joke, I got up and started to perform that with a friend of mine, like, and it was just like the reaction of the crowd, even like if there was laughing and that kind of thing. I just loved the way how they'd like respond to you. It kind of gives, like, I suppose, for people who haven't been on stage, like an adrenaline rush. It just fully does. It makes you feel great when you're on there. It's all I've always been scared, even doing like, you know, like being the Lion in the Wizard of Oz at my leaving thing in year 6. It was just great to be on stage. And I think when I left and I realised, damn, like, you know, you've got to grow up now. Like, I'm in bigger school. How am I going to like carry on getting this performance? That's when I started to make music and just do like little performances at like little open mic nights. And I'd always like, before I even started doing my own music, I think the last one that I'd done on stage when I didn't perform my own songs was when Ghetto Gospel come out with Elton John and Tupac. Like, and that song like was just, at that time I just loved it too much. And like I say, I'd done that for the talent show and that kind of thing. It wasn't like a thing where you won, it was just like a performance at the end of the year. But after that, I just was sick that I had to use other people's influences and other people's songs to perform. And that's kind of like around the time of 8 Mile, like I previously mentioned, like the reaction of how M had them crowd, like, you know, when he used all these things that, you know, how he kind of like used reverse psychology on the dude, how he cussed everything that the dude was going to say about himself and then brought that back. I just thought that that was interesting with music, because in school, I was always like a overweight guy in year 7, all that kind of thing, like all the way through it and that. And I was always getting called names like fat dude or whatever. Like, you know, my name's Plat, so as you can imagine, rhymes with fat, rhymes with like, I don't need to say how many things that does, but like I noticed that when I started doing music and people started to, like, as you say, understand me, understand how I thought, people would see through the image of the fat dude and that, and they'd know, like, you know, this dude's real. And the more like-minded people like that who are like, even to this day now from year 7, the people who I met doing music still do it for love this day. And I just think that's an incredible thing, because music's so much more than just making a sound for people to bob their head to. People who make it know that it's just an extension of their thought at that time. And if you can like capture just like in one of those little screw balls together, just that feeling, I think that's what people love when they wake up in the morning and they want to feel good on the way to work, you know. But like I say, like it started off in school, and when I started writing my own, like it actually I was sitting in school, I think it was in games while I was in school, and there was something on EastEnders, like where someone took the P out of Phil Mitchell going, he's round and he's fat and he's got a baseball bat. Phil Mitchell, like, I remember there was a dude, like Jordan, and he was like, yo, you should use that for your first bars to write something and that. And it was like, he said like, maybe you should change it. Like, my name's Paul Plat, I don't take chat. Don't know how to hit you with a baseball bat. Like, it was some really stupid lines. Like, obviously we was in school and that. So I went home, and that was literally the first. So shouts out Jordan if you're watching this. That was literally the first verse I ever really wrote. I just used that and took it to a 16. And the response I got when I went into school, like, was ridiculous. Like, you know, people would, it would just literally be like, you'd go in the playground, you'd see a group of people huddled up, and in the middle you've just got people spitting, and like it just felt great. And then that kind of like made me addicted to wanting to get that emotion from people again. So I try something different, come back to them, and they'd be like, oh no, it's not as good as your last one. And I'd be like, God, and it just, that was like my own personal like thing that I just wanted to stay on top of. You know, I just wanted to keep on getting people go, ooh, I weren't expecting that. Or like, that's why I started to learn about, like, I started to study music then, like about different patterns in flows and how many syllables people could fit into 4 sentences and how many rhyme patterns you could fit, like, and just try and compact it. And like I say, it's just like one big puzzle. And like, it's still to this day, like, if it was a book, I'd be buying that book every damn day, because it's very therapeutic. And that word keeps coming up, but that's obviously the main reason.
I got my psyche, look up my team, big and mighty. Every time in the studio it's lightning, smoke rising and lightning.
Yes.
Like my right before my dreams.
I actually do. Yeah, it was in my bedroom, and at the time, like, a friend moved in, like, opposite to me, like, people may know him, Jason. Like, he moved in opposite, and he started to tell me about this program. I think it was called Sony Acid Pro. I think it was called. It used to just be able to record sound, and I needed a microphone, and like I didn't know nothing about like microphones, and so I went to Poundland, and it was the equivalent to Poundland in the Poolway somewhere. Like, I think it was called Quids in at the time, but like, yeah, for £1 I brought this like little mini microphone that was like a bendy adjustable one, but just had like a little pop filter on the top, and I made my first song actually on that. I downloaded some samples and like put the beat together and made it. It sounded a lot like the streets. I really tried the Birmingham thing, and I just remember playing it to my family, and the response I got was, it's good that you can rhyme words like that, but That's completely terrible. You shouldn't be you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm not gonna lie, it hit me like that, but that's the only way you can continue progressing. If you let like anything in life, if you let someone go, nah, that's crap, bang, and you just let that keep you on the floor and keep you down, you're never gonna progress. And I think that's the whole point of life. Always wanting to come back and be better. Don't matter how you look now, it don't matter how you are now. If you start right this second in 6 months, instead of saying, I wish I would have done that back then, you're just gonna keep prospering in life. You know what I'm saying?
Fill up ammunition, but cannabis you never get enough of that. To change your cycle, we're born
My
with
worst
that.
day, I remember, it was again a performance in school, and I remember the teacher. Like she was a great teacher in school, my music teacher. Like it was in year 11, and I was supposed to be performing one of my songs, and what had happened was I gave the CD to the teacher to play the beat while I was on stage. It went great for all the rehearsals, but it never had my name on it. So what she done was she scratched my name into the disc, thinking nothing of it, thinking she could just scratch away the front and it wouldn't bother playing. So obviously, like, I'm on stage now after rehearsing, I know I'm going to go and smash it. Then I'm on stage and like halfway through the song, and I was like, oh God. Then everybody just like started looking, and I don't know why it was like, this is why I had to learn from that experience, because I just literally like, I got peed off and was like, oh, for God's sake. And I slammed the mic on the floor and walked off stage. And when I come off stage, that's not like me. I'm not that way inclined just to get peed off about something, but I think I was embarrassed and it just came out like that. But that taught me a lesson, like in the future, you need to condone yourself. In hindsight, I should have just been like, ladies and gentlemen, technical difficulty. I'll be back when it's sorted. But I suppose that's, like I say, trials and tribulations. You need to learn from that. The teacher was all right about it. She understood what had happened in the end and that kind of thing. And I ended up doing this performance successfully after burning another disc off. But nonetheless, that was definitely the worst time, 100%, because that was just embarrassing in front of like, what, 100, 200 people who was there. It was just made things look bad. Really did.
I hope you're listening. No statistics, sophistics. Both it broken and twisted. Walk road and I fixed it.
By far, it was performing at the Symphony Hall, supporting Joan Armour Trading. That day was ridiculous. Okay, again, like I was in a duo with like my friend who lived opposite Jaso, like, and it was we was a duo, and like I say, we had Joan give us the opportunity. She was on the radio basically. My dad had heard it talking about she wanted somebody from where she was from to perform, like, and support her at the concert, and she was basically giving unknowns a chance to shine, which was like amazing, because like someone like from that era being bothered about someone from this era is like unheard of. Still to this day, I don't know anybody else who has done something for Birmingham like that, any artist at all. But yeah, we basically caught the bus there from Stetchford, and when we pulled up at the Symphony Hall, there was like, and she must have told them to treat us like they would treat her. So we went like into the Symphony Hall, and there was like, oh, you're the actor. And we was like, yep. Then there was like, oh, no problem, come on. And they took us through, and they actually had our name written on the room. We had our own like little room, and it was just like, this is surreal. It was like we'd made it. They just gave us a taste of what it would be like for them. I think she paid us like I think a few £100 for the performance as well, just to make us feel that like, you know, we had some other purpose. It was great, the opportunity anyway, but she was good enough to pay us for the performance. And we like, it started us on PRS understanding about getting royalties for performing, like, because that's something I didn't know. No matter where you are, even if the place isn't paying you for the performance, because you're performing your song and the place you're performing is paying PRS, you can still get paid for performing your work. A lot of people don't know that still to this day, but it's just little like tips and tricks and that. But yeah, long story short, we went in the room. There was like a mirror with like all of these like light bulbs around, like what you see in the Hollywood movies where the women are doing all the makeup in the mirror and that. And like it was just mad. We had an ensuite bathroom with a shower in there, and like there was a woman there, and she was like, "Are you hungry or whatever?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, like some chicken," and literally like, you know, get some chicken as a joke. I was just like, "Yeah, we'd love a big plate of chicken." And then she ended up bringing it to us, and she went, "If you want any more, just go next door." And when we went next door, they had like just caterers, like a whole catering team, just to like give Joan food and her team and that. And I mean, it was a great team, but I just never seen how like prepared everything was. Just anything that Joan would have wanted, they would have just had it there for her. And like then she actually came down and spoke to us, and like we had like an interview. I think it was for the BBC at the time, but like, and during the interview, she was asking us like questions, and she basically had said at the end of the interview, like, she looked in both our eyes and basically said, it is possible. She went like, no matter what, it is possible. So just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, the chance of her choosing our song out of like 4,000 or 5,000 people, I believe it was, so to say, like, who sent in the song, that was just like pot luck. And the fact that we had that performance, like, and there was, you know, like, there was just loads of a sea of people in front of us. And on one of the songs on the night, like, before we performed it, we'd spoken the words of the chorus and told the crowd what the chorus was before we performed the song. So while we was performing it, they could sing along to it. And they did. And it was just like, when I talk about getting an adrenaline rush and a boost from that, that still to this day sticks in my head. And until I see that again from myself without being given an opportunity by someone else, I think that's going to be my goal. Not for the fame and the fortune. I couldn't care less about that. In my personal life, I'd just like to earn enough money to pay my bills. Just what I'm earning now from the van driving job that I currently do. You know, I'm not ashamed to even admit it, bro. We've got to make a living. But that's what I'm saying, man. As long as I can earn what I earn from my job now, and I know that I'm helping people with the music, and most importantly, like, if I ever did come into money, I'd make a platform where kids, like how youth centres used to help children before they got like all defunding. I remember like the first proper song that I ever officially recorded in a studio with someone was Lion, and like an artist from Birmingham. He's a brilliant artist, and he sat down, and I could barely rap at the time. It was just after I'd made my first verse, like when someone mentioned to me in school and that kind of time. And he sat me down and he produced a beat, because he knew I was into Eminem. He produced a beat that sounded just like Dr. Dre, and it was in a youth centre part of a competition. And that brought 3 people who had never worked together and gave them, like, you know, how can I say it? Gave them the belief that you can make songs on this level. And I think now that the funding is gone for a lot of these youth centres and I've seen them shut down, I think it's just a shame, because that gave us a reason to get off the street. That gave us a reason not to go smashing bus stops and being bored, because we was like, next week I need to have this finished, ready for that. And it weren't just music. It was like anything to do with editing videos. They'd make short movies and have the actors. And it was just amazing, like from printing T-shirts. And the fact that the government see fit not to fund that and funding things like wars and stuff like that, it just proves to me that, like, these so-called conspiracy theorists aren't conspiracies no more, because we can see for ourselves that they've not cared about us for years. The real people who want to make a big difference are given no financial opportunities, and you don't need financial opportunities. But nowadays, everything is business and it's funded by finance. So you need the money. And that's something now that the businesses aren't investing in. And if they are, like, we ain't heard about them. They ain't invested in promotion for themselves. So, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of selfishness in the industry now. But that's one really important thing. Like, if I ever did get any money of any sort, I'd literally just love to buy a building, make it a big youth centre in Birmingham, and just, you know, have standards there, obviously, but just have a place where people can come and be creative and test out what they can do. Maybe I'll try music. Maybe that's good. Oh, that ain't good enough. Okay, maybe I'll try that. And once I find their lane, that's something for them to focus on, rather than go home and just, oh yeah, let me just play COD. Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. I mean, the games are amazing, don't get me wrong, but everything in life, it's about limiting yourself, not having too much, everything in moderation. Like, that goes for drinking, eating healthy, you know what I'm saying? You've got to have that balance of the good and the bad. But, yeah, again, probably digressing, but...
I'm seeing life from a different angle. Lock myself in the dream and kick off the handle. Hip hop, ample example, the rap ramble.
People want to find me on all the platforms. If you type in Daemon P, Daemon P, I'll come up on all the platforms on Spotify, and you can hear my music that way. If you want to see videos, obviously on YouTube, if you type it in, my channel is called Plat's Creations with a Z. Platts Creations with a Z. And yeah, you could contact me through any of that. So that's where you can find me. And at the minute, the projects I'm working on, I've just released my basically performance video of Round and Round, a hip hop song where it's just basically talking about the philosophy on life, that kind of thing. And the next music that's coming out is actually, I haven't got a name for the EP yet, but it's going to be like a 5-song EP. And I might call it something like something about love, because like there's a few songs that I've been keeping thinking, when the time is right, when I lose weight and when I look like a ladies man, I'm going to be releasing the lady type songs to play and get spun on the radio, and that's going to be it. So I've been trying to build up through rap to try and slowly transition myself into being able to make a song that you'd probably hear Ed Sheeran singing. So I think it's going to either be a big success or a big flop when it comes out. Like, but I know the music and the people who I have played it for have like loved it up to now. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the songs that hopefully the BBC will start to play and all that kind of stuff, because they've been showing me no love. They had me on the radio a few years ago, and now like I'm releasing what I believe is like the best music I've released yet, like in my career. They say upload it on the producer and that. I try and email it to specific people and they don't be getting back. And they just haven't got a platform where people can actually be heard. It's like there's people funnily like only choosing what they believe would sell. And that's the only thing I'm seeing on Introducing at the minute. And I think they need to step up the game, because it's not good at these times and that. But other than that, like I have been writing comedy. I do love comedy sketches. That's something I used to do back in 2007 with my friend Leslie Danter. And we have got plans to do comedy. I mean, we've been writing sketches now for probably the past 2 years. But again, everything is like dividing your time onto what's most important. And at the minute, I've just been spending all my time on perfecting the craft of writing a specific types of songs. So I think it's 110% going to show. The songs are finished now. I've just got to get them mixed and mastered. I'm hoping to have them out now, the EP, by probably latest end of November, early December. And hopefully things will go from there. But yeah, the only other project I suppose worth mentioning at the minute is called Top Spitter. It's they're in working basically with SBTV and Sidewinder, and it's a great platform that they've just started now for literally just people who love lyrics and who spit. And it's got some great talent on there, I'm not gonna lie. So I've got like a side to it where it's kind of like 8 Mile-ish battle, where like they'll put you against an opponent who's in the same caliber as you, and you've just got to like, it's not even about really calling each other names, it's more about the lyricism and how like you can call each other names without being personal and just using your lyrics to flex. And then like obviously the winner's gonna win. But it's real good underground. It's a private YouTube channel. I think it's called Top Spitter 2020. But I'm doing some interesting things with them at the minute. Like I've never actually been a guy who has been into battling other than watching them on YouTube or whatever. I've never been into that. And like this is something that's recently like I always said, if anyone comes at me, I'll just probably make even a hit and then just like let the success of the hit be like a FU, kind of like how Jay-Z was doing it with 50 at one point, I suppose, thinking he's too big to respond, not talking about him and things like that. But real talk, man, sometimes you just got some things to get off your chest. And I think if people want to see that side of you, I think as an artist, like there's a difference between being a rapper or a singer and an artist. I think an artist should just be able to try anything, go in any different direction that they want. If you want to release a hardcore rap song, release it. If you want to release like a song that you would imagine like Justin Timberlake on with Prince or whatever, I think that's the thing that you should be doing. And like yeah, I've also been doing like some odd funk music as well, James Brown inspired obviously, but I've been getting some great producers to like try out different styles of music. And yeah, I think that's the only thing really that like I've been spending all my time on, just perfecting how to make great music. And I really think like, you know, over the next few months people are going to be seeing that more. But I'm really excited about it, to be honest with you. It's like, I suppose how you felt when you was younger, if people had that experience of when Christmas was coming and you was just hoping that you was going to get this special gift and you was excited in the morning thinking, oh, I wonder if I've got it, I wonder if I've got it. That's kind of how I'm feeling now with these songs. Before I release them, I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to go down well. But I think the people who I want listening to my music isn't the average Joe anyway. It's people who are real, people who are understanding my lyrics. And if they're not on my wavelength, then so be it. I don't care if it gets 3 views, as long as the 3 people are inspired by it, and as long as the 3 people take something out of it, you know, because you haven't got to always make mistakes yourself. You can learn from other people's mistakes.
Nobody knows. Pondering while I'm alone. Brains automatic on roam. God, is that you in the room? I can feel you in my home. Daemon is born, aiming higher than the throne. Follow the path that I make on my own. Now there's a passionate lion that roars.
Don't do music if you're doing it for financial gain. If you're doing it for one day to be a star and to be a multimillionaire, and it's literally just for that reason, you should quit right now. I think the only reason you should be doing music is to put across exactly how you're feeling and your principles. So when you die in 200 years from now, somebody's on that Spotify in the future and they come across your song, they listen to it and they're like, wow, and they want to dig back into your song because you're making them feel inspired, or like there's an emotion that they've connected to, where like sometimes I felt alone and I felt like nobody else is feeling this. I think the biggest song that I can say, like in that sense, what hit for me was a song by Eminem called Rock Bottom. And I think I started the song, the words was amazing. Like, I feel like I'm walking a tightrope without a circus net. Popping Percocet, I'm a nervous wreck. I deserve respect, but I work a sweat for this worthless check. And I'm about to burst his tech at somebody to reverse his step. And I was just like, wow, how many times have I been working minimum wage jobs feeling just like that? And I think that's the aim. So if you're making music, do it for the love, do it just for your passion, and stop being selfish. There is too many selfish artists who are like, everything's got to be about me. Oh, no, I'm not doing things with that man because that man's shining, because I'm seeking to me and everything's about me. And that's bullshit. You know, the people who have made me believe that I can make the music that I dreamt about when I was listening to Michael Jackson, it's teamwork. There's a saying, teamwork make the dream work. You've got to go out there. If you're an MC or a writer or a singer, you've got to go out there and find a producer who's going to sit down and record you and understand you, first of all, as a person, and invest time into you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it should be free, because if someone's good at what they do, they should get paid for it, and they should get, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can I say it? They should, like, get cuts of the music that you make and everything like that. And I just think that's one of the most important things about making music, reaching out and spreading and supporting other artists. Even if you think, damn, they're better than me, don't get jealous about it. Just be like, I need to up my game, and give them their props, work with them, see what makes them better. You know what I mean? Like, there's just don't be selfish with music. It's to spread and it's for love. And I think that's the main thing that people should be doing. Yeah, well, look, when people watch this interview back now, the main thing that I want them to take away from it, like, obviously if they're watching it, look, they're supporting, you know what I mean? And if they've watched it to this point, obviously by now, they should have, like, understood some of the thought patterns, understood, like, that I think sometimes putting yourself in a situation where you struggle in life, that, like, just cutting it short, the main thing that I've learned is people who are struggling are the hungriest people, because they want to build themselves out of a struggle. So I think if you're lucky enough in life to have money and you're just going to give your child everything just because you think that's right, you need to find a way of making the child earn that. Because I think that, like, if I was rich when I was young, there's no way I would be as ambitious as I am now. It's through having minimum wage jobs. It's through going jobless, not knowing where the next paycheck's coming from to pay rent next week. You know, these are the things that most people ain't talking about. They just want to floss, and they don't realise that in order to make a great artist, in order to make, like, anybody great, you name anybody who has influenced you in any sort of thing, and I guarantee the reason why they influenced you is because they built from nothing into something, and now they stand for something. The idea is to find someone like that and to make your own platform where you're giving off that same energy. And if you're not doing that, then I don't understand what life is. But I think that's the main thing in life, like, to understand, to learn, and to just move on and be better. And I think if in 10 years you're in the same place as you was 10 years ago, whether it be job-wise, whether it be financially, as long as you are genuinely happy in your life, you shouldn't make a change. But if you aren't genuinely happy, then you should, how can I say, find purpose. And purpose in my life is the creativity and the music. But everybody, like, I've saw people who are passionate about cars, people who are passionate about cycling, like, and even passionate about just bringing the best out of their body. And I just love that, because that is passion in my eyes. To look at your body and watch someone turn from fat into thin, from somebody turning thin, actually bulking up, like, it's just amazing, because that's something that somebody has completely created out of nothing. And I think that's the whole point of life. We was created by some.
I'm open sight, meditate to the open light. Life slow, so we focus high. That's the reason for the music. I make food on my plate, true man, I through with a hate. Whatever stacking the money like
So this is poor Plat. Big up Malicious Entertainment. They're the realest crew out here, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, shouts out. Thank you for your time. And prosper to everybody.